September the 22nd, 2023. Guys, you're looking at current satellite images of Tropical Storm Ophelia. It is now at 50 miles per hour sustained winds inside the storm itself. And the tracking now is bringing it a little further into southern North Carolina, guys, than to the Outer Banks. That's what the models are saying. You can see as the sun rises, the center of circulation is right in this area here. It looks like it's going to move ashore in this area and then back out into the northeast. And this is the latest images. It's a very large area of rain, so that's what they were talking about yesterday. Your chances of flooding and flash floods are going up. Also, the storm surge estimates have gone up slightly. Now, we've got a tropical cyclone. This one would be Ophelia, I think it is, and we're dealing with 50 mile per hour sustained winds. You see it right here, moving north at 14 miles an hour. Your tropical storm wind field is large for this storm. Check that out. 8 a.m. setting here. This morning, by 2 a.m. Saturday morning, setting just offshore of the southern sections of North Carolina. That means 2 hours after midnight tonight, it's going to be very close. So you've got today to get your preps ready. It's not a major hurricane, but there can be plenty of damage from a tropical storm. We've seen it many times before. Then 2 p.m. Saturday afternoon, ashore in North Carolina. 2 a.m. Sunday, it is into Virginia, still a tropical storm. By this time, they're showing it starting to slow down by 2 p.m. Sunday, and this would be in the D.C. area, 2 a.m. Monday here in New Jersey. It's not going out any further than that. But right now, you've got to be careful of what we're dealing with, storm surge and all, but your tropical storm warnings now go up from just east of the South Carolina, North Carolina line all the way up into the New Jersey area here. Let's look at the increase in storm surge prediction. Now, the peak storm surge update. Notice it does include the tides. The very last sentence here. Values shown on this graphic are inclusive of the tides. So down at the South Santee River up to Surf City, 1 to 3 feet. In the yellow, you got 3 to 5 feet. You get a little further north up to around Albemarle. South Sound is at 2 to 4 feet. Lower Chesapeake Bay, 2 to 4 feet. Upper Chesapeake Bay, 1 to 3 feet. And the same goes for the Delaware Bay, all the way up into New Jersey, just south of Long Island. Check this out right there. And up to 5 feet and inclusive of tide. So you got to be aware of this. Now, this is advisory number 4, 5 a.m. this morning, Eastern Time. It's saying the low pressure off the southeastern U.S. coast is producing a large area of tropical storm force winds and is forecast to strengthen further before it reaches the coast of North Carolina early Saturday. Tropical storm conditions are expected along portions of the southeastern and mid-Atlantic U.S. coast within the tropical storm warning area beginning later this morning and continuing into Saturday night. There is a danger of life-threatening storm surge inundation over portions of east North Carolina and southeastern Virginia, including Pamlico, Albemarle Sounds, lower Chesapeake Bay, where storm surge warnings are in place. Residents in these areas should follow advice given by local officials. Heavy rainfall from the system could produce localized urban and small stream flooding impacts across the eastern to mid-Atlantic states from North Carolina to New Jersey through Sunday. Swells generated by this system will affect much of the U.S. East Coast through the weekend, likely causing life-threatening surf and rip currents. Heed those warnings. Now, this is still being called potential tropical cyclone 16, but at 39 miles an hour, or above 39 miles an hour, it becomes a tropical storm. So I'm not really sure why they're doing some of these changes. But by this afternoon, 2 p.m., 60 mile per hour tropical storm here. It will remain that way until it starts to get into shore, and that will start to weaken it. Saturday afternoon, tomorrow, back down to 50 miles an hour. Sunday, 2 a.m., 40 mile per hour storm. And it looks like it's going to hook back out now south of Long Island. That was what we were talking about before. Now, what that's going to do is put it back over water just a little quicker than some of the other models. So we'll see how long it stays at 35 miles an hour. Can it pick up a little more heat as it moves offshore? But anyway, all of these patterns as far as rain and tropical storm winds, guys, the storm surges are going to move along this east coast up through Boston, according to this track. And this update on the spaghetti models came out 13 minutes ago at 9 a.m. Eastern, and it's showing kind of a wide variety of paths, guys, once it gets ashore, but pretty much everything's agreeing somewhere in this section of North Carolina. Your purple line right here is the Navy model. You see this hook, and this is telling you that it's moving a little further inland and then coming back down on top of D.C. right there. The Canadian model is very close. It comes all the way out into the Atlantic after it's showing the storm move across Long Island into Massachusetts and then back out into the Atlantic Ocean. So you've got kind of a lot of little things that can happen here. But this Navy model, again, concerns me because it looks like it's going to make a turn back to the southeast and dip back into it. So as you think you're getting out of some of the trouble here in the D.C. area, make sure you're paying attention to this because it's going to come back down on you. Again, at 9 a.m. update. Now, as we look at the Canadian model, guys, not much has changed from the spaghetti models except some of the activity behind it. And it looks like Ophelia will move again through the Carolinas and back out into the Atlantic. And it looks like another storm is going to form in its place, almost to in the same area. And keep an eye on the lower basin here. Check this out. And coming in, this is a Canadian model coming back out over Long Island and headed straight to the UK along with this storm here. You got another one behind you. Another one has formed here. Check that out. These are the two Atlantic storms, and they look like they're going to move north into the Atlantic behind the opening in the low pressure. But again, there goes Ophelia, another storm setting up off the east coast. The Gulf appears to be very active with low pressure, by the way. Then at the end of this, you've got three storms lined up. More than likely, we'll do that northeast curl back into the Bermuda area. Check that out. Now we'll take a look at the Navy model. Now this model only goes out 7 days up to the 29th. And we'll watch it. Here is Ophelia moving in. See how this thing is absorbed into this area here and then possibly moves back out. The Navy model did not go much further than that point. Here's your Atlantic storm. Here is a second system that has formed. Here's our first one. Here comes some storm from the Atlantic. Did you see that pop up right there? So you got a couple days, it looks like, guys, of some wet weather. Now here in central Mississippi, we need every drop we can get. I think since mid-June, we've had less than an inch of rain and about 3 or 4 different very small rain showers that came through, guys, and that sets up not only drought but the possibility of forest fires, and you're starting to see some of that, so be very careful. But, guys, we're going to keep an eye on Ophelia. We're going to see what that does, and over the next few days, we'll keep an eye on what's going on here. You may get back-to-back storms, which is going to increase your chances of flash flooding, things like that. Now, looking at the wide Atlantic, you can see the system moving off the coast of Africa. Here, again, it looks like it will travel into that loop in the northern Atlantic. And, guys, of course, here is Ophelia. And the system moving in now into Arkansas may have some controlling factor on this, but what I'm hoping for, you guys looking in this top left corner, is some moisture in our area. Friends and farmers in this area are having to give up livestock right now. Yesterday, family members had to give up 3 horses because their hay dried in the fields and you can't get any. There's a shortage of it right now. So you're going to see that. And I'd like to hear your comments about your situation. But you're going to see that across the nation in these drought areas. It's not just human food shortages. It's going to be the shortages for your cattle, horses, any kind of livestock you've got. We're in those times, guys. So just hope and pray for some rain in your area and get ready because this world is changing very quickly. It's not changing for the good. It will turn out good, but we've got some tribulations to go through. We're watching it. You watch it. It's a heads up. Be safe.